Hey there, my name is Dan, and I'm the Customer Learning and Development Consultant at RightCapital. If you're watching this video, that means your advisor has invited you to have access to your RightCapital financial plan and to begin entering some of your information. Today, we'll review how to fill out your client profile and walk through each step of the data entry process together. To get started, you should have received an email from your advisor with instructions to begin setting up your account. At the bottom of this email, click the Sign Up button to start this process. This will redirect you to your web browser and take you directly to a sign up screen. Your name and email will already be in place here. All you need to do is create a secure password and then click Create Account. Once this is done, you'll be taken directly to the first step of the data entry process. Before diving into the data entry, please note that RightCapital is designed from the ground up with your security in mind. The planning software uses bank-level encryption to ensure that your information is safeguarded at every turn. You also don't have to fill out your profile all in one sitting. You can stop at any time and return to the platform later to pick up where you left off. The first step of the data entry process is where you'll input your family information. This includes the members of your household, along with names and dates of birth. Let's start with the client card. Click into the first card on your screen to open a data entry drawer on the right side of the page. This is where you can input the information for this individual, primarily your name, birthday, and for this first client, we'll also specify the state that you live in. Feel free to enter a middle name, title, or suffix if you'd like. After filling out the information, click Save in the lower right. If this is a joint household, you'll want to enter the same information for the co-client card. To add additional family members to your profile, such as children or grandchildren, you can click the Add Participant button in the upper right. Entering the correct ages for each household member is especially important in this step, so be mindful to double-check each family member's birthday before clicking Save. If you ever need to delete a profile card, you can do so by hovering your mouse over that card and clicking the X icon in the upper right. After everyone in your household has been accounted for, you can click Next in the lower right to move on to the next step. From this point on, the data entry steps you see on your screen might differ a bit from what you see in this video. You may find that certain steps are in a different order, or that some of the steps we're about to cover are not included in your own data entry process. If this is the case, no need to be alarmed. Your advisor has customized your data entry template to streamline the process and collect the most relevant information for your financial plan. If you need to skip around, there are timestamps in the description of this video that you can use to quickly navigate to a specific step in the data entry process. The income step of the data entry is where you'll enter your salary and other income information. There will already be a salary card in place for you here. Click on the card to enter your salary information. Be sure to enter your gross annual salary here. Taxes will be automatically calculated and applied later within the financial plan. If this is a joint plan, you'll also find a salary card for the other member of your household. If you're a dual income household, you can click on the card to enter that salary as well. If not, remember that you can always delete a data entry card that you don't need by clicking the X icon in the upper right. In addition to the salary cards, you'll also find the Social Security cards pre-populated here. This is where you can enter your current or future Social Security benefits. If you're retired and already receiving Social Security, you can check the box next to Already Receiving, enter the monthly benefit amounts that you receive, as well as the age in which you originally filed. If you have not yet started receiving Social Security, you have a few options. You can use the Simple Estimate option, which will let RightCapital estimate your future benefit using your salary information. Or if you happen to have your Social Security statement, you can use the Based on Social Security Statement option and simply enter a start age and corresponding benefit amount directly from your statement. In both cases, you'll also want to select a filing age, which is when you're currently thinking about filing for Social Security. If you aren't sure, full retirement age is a safe bet as a starting point. If you have any additional sources of income, those can be added by clicking the Add Income button in the upper right and choosing from the list of available income options. For example, maybe you're self employed and receive self employment income in addition to, or in place of, a salary. You can click Add Income, Self Employment, and then enter the details for that income stream. Another example might be if you're currently receiving a pension. You can click Add Income, Pension, and then enter the annual amount and other pension information. Remember that if you don't know all the details, you can always add the card as a placeholder. This will serve as a reminder so that you can circle back and discuss with your advisor later on. After entering all of your income information to the best of your ability, you can click Next to move on to the next step. The savings step of the data entry is where you'll enter annual contributions that you're making to any of your investments. Keep in mind that you won't be entering the total balances of any of your accounts here, just the contributions. Balances are entered as part of the net worth step of the data entry process. As a starting point, there will already be a 401k savings card in place for you here. Click on the card to enter your 401k contribution and employer match. You can enter your contributions as either a percentage of your salary or a flat dollar amount. If you're maximizing your contribution, there's an easy option to reflect that as well. Beneath the details of your contribution, you'll also want to enter the details of the employer match. A common example of this might look like a 100% employer match up to 3% of your salary, and then a 50% match up to 5% of your salary. If your employer offers a non-elective match, you can enter a flat percent or flat dollar match rather than a primary and secondary match. Remember that it's okay if you're not sure of all the details. Enter the information to the best of your ability, and you can always circle back with your advisor later to review the information. You might see a taxable savings card next to the 401k cards here. If you're making any savings into a taxable brokerage account on a regular basis, those can be reflected using this card. If not, remember that you can remove data entry cards by clicking the X icon in the upper right. If you're making contributions to any other investments or accounts, those can be added by clicking the Add Saving button in the upper right and choosing from the list of available savings options. For example, if you're saving into a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA, you'll find options for both of those things here. Choose the option that matches the type of account you're saving into, and then specify the annual amount and duration of the contributions. After entering all of your savings information to the best of your ability, you can click Next to move on to the next step of the data entry process. The net worth step of the data entry is where you'll enter all of your assets and liabilities. This includes things like bank and investment accounts, properties, and insurance policies. The net worth section is a crucial piece of the data entry process, as this is also where you'll enter the current balances of all of your assets and liabilities as they stand today. There are two options here for inputting account information. You may see a Link Account button at the top of this page. If this is available, you can use this option to securely link all of your accounts to your RightCapital financial plan, saving you the trouble of having to manually input that information. For example, let's say you have a 401k at Fidelity Investments. Type Fidelity Investments into the search bar, select that option from the list, and then follow the steps provided in order to link the accounts held at that institution. This typically involves entering your username and password, and potentially entering a multi-factor authentication code that will be sent to your phone or email. Once complete, your Fidelity accounts will be linked and will populate in one of the categories on the left-hand side under your total net worth. You can rinse and repeat this process to link checking and savings accounts, credit cards, investment accounts, and even mortgages and other loans. When linking accounts, if you're unable to link a certain account, or if you're ever unsure which option to pick for a certain institution, you can always reach out to your advisor for clarification. Also, keep in mind that insurance policies, properties, and other assets are unable to be linked using this feature and must be entered manually. Speaking of, if the link account button is not available here, or if you're unable to link certain accounts, you can always input your accounts manually into RightCapital by clicking the Add Account button in the upper right. Let's walk through the available options together. Feel free to pause the video as you enter your own information. Checking and savings accounts should both be added as bank accounts. For each bank account, you can specify the type of account, the account owner, and then enter the current balance. When adding credit cards to your net worth, you will have additional areas to enter the monthly and minimum payment amounts, along with the APR percentage. Adding investments encompasses a wide swath of different account types, such as taxable brokerage accounts, 401ks, IRAs, and much more. Different account types will require different information, but you'll always be asked for the account owner and the total balance. If you have a lot of investments, it can also be helpful to name each of these accounts as well, so that you and your advisor can easily tell them apart. If your employer pays you in the form of equity compensation, something like incentive stock options or restricted stock units, those can be entered as a stock plan within this area. Stock plans can be complicated, so if you aren't sure of all the details, feel free to add the stock plan as a placeholder and then walk through this entry with your advisor at a later date. Adding loans can be used to enter things like mortgages, car loans, student loans, and more. You'll be asked to input different information depending on the type of loan that you select. When entering a mortgage, you'll be asked for details such as the original amount, the interest rate, loan term, and of course, current balance. The minimum payment will be calculated automatically based on these inputs, but if you're making more than the minimum payments each month, you can enter that amount in the monthly payment field. You can then link your mortgage to the correct property within the plan. That brings us to property. Within the property area, you'll find a pre-populated entry for your primary home. Specify whether you rent or own the home, and the data entry fields will adapt accordingly. If you're a homeowner, here's where you'll enter the purchase price and current value of your home, as well as the property tax, insurance, and maintenance fees. Any other properties that you own, such as vacation and investment properties, can be added by clicking Add Account and then selecting the correct property type. If you're adding multiple properties here along with multiple mortgages, remember to link each mortgage to the correct property. You'll want to enter insurance policies as well within the net worth section. You can find a list of policy types by clicking Add Account and hovering over Insurance. For example, if you have group life through your employer, you can select the group life option here, which will allow you to enter the dollar amount for the annual premium as well as the death benefit. Just like loans and investments, different insurance policy types will require you to enter different information. Fill these out to the best of your ability. Lastly, if there are any other assets of significant value that you'd like to account for within your financial plan, you can use the Add Account Other option. This is a great option for things like boats, cars, and hard assets like gold and silver. If you're the owner of a business, you can also enter your business as an other asset. You'll find a number of different business types in the Asset Type menu. As you're entering your information into the net worth section, Remember that it's okay if you don't have all the details on hand for every entry. You and your advisor can always review this information later to correct any mistakes and fill in any gaps. After entering all of your assets and liabilities to the best of your ability, you can click Next to move on to the next step. The expenses step of the data entry is where you'll enter your primary expenses. The two cards you'll find pre-populated for you here are living expenses and tax and fees. The living expenses card is where you'll enter your monthly expenses in pre-retirement. If you're already retired, feel free to skip this card. For those still in pre-retirement, the dollar amount you enter here should reflect your average living expenses on a monthly basis, including things like groceries, gas, and other bills and utilities. You can choose to either enter a single monthly amount here, or you can fill out a detailed worksheet, which will break things down into more specific spending categories. One additional note here: when filling out this card, be sure to exclude any of the expenses that you've already accounted for during the net worth step of the data entry process. This primarily includes mortgage and other debt payments, as well as insurance premiums. The other card you'll find here is the tax and fees card, which is primarily used to determine your tax filing status within your financial plan. If you happen to live somewhere that has local taxes, such as New York City, you can enter those here as well. If there are any other expenses you'd like to account for separate from your living expenses, such as medical expenses, alimony, or extra debt payments, you can do so by using the Add Expense button in the upper right. After entering your expenses, you can click Next to move on to the next step in the data entry. The goals step of the data entry is where you'll enter your financial goals. You'll find a few different cards here by default, starting with the retirement age goal card. Click into this card to specify when you want to retire. This is a hugely important input for many aspects of your financial plan, so while it's certainly okay to be ambitious, we recommend also being realistic. The next card here is the retirement expense card, which is where you'll enter your retirement living expenses. If you're already retired, the dollar amount you enter here should reflect your average living expenses on a monthly basis, including things like groceries, gas, and other bills and utilities. If you're still in pre-retirement, you should enter your best guess as to what your living expenses will look like in retirement. If you aren't sure, using the same number that you entered into the pre-retirement living expense card is a safe bet as a starting point. You can choose to enter either a single monthly amount here, or you can fill out a detailed worksheet which will break things down into more specific spending categories. As a reminder, be sure to exclude anything that's already accounted for in the net worth section when filling out this card. The other cards you'll find pre-populated here are the retirement healthcare and long-term care cards. By default, both of these cards will be pre-filled with up-to-date national averages for Medicare and long-term care costs. If you'd like to customize either of these amounts, you can do so by clicking into either card and adjusting the inputs. If you entered any children into your plan back during Step 1, you'll find a college goal for that child pre-populated here for you as well. Just like the healthcare and long-term care cards, this one will be set to a national average by default. Feel free to click into this card to customize the dollar amount, or to search for a specific school and automatically pull in the in-state or out-of-state tuition. In addition to these essential components, you can add any other goals you might have by clicking the Add Goal button in the upper right. You'll find lots of different options to choose from here. Let's review some quick examples. Maybe you want to do some traveling in the years after you retire. That can be reflected by adding a vacation goal to your plan. Maybe you want to move into a new home or move to a new state in retirement. which can be modeled with a primary home relocation goal. Perhaps you plan to purchase something like a vacation home, or maybe a boat, or other lifestyle asset. These are items that can all be included in the Goals section. Feel free to have some fun and to dream big during this step of the data entry process. If you know that you have a certain goal, but aren't sure of the cost or time frame to enter, feel free to add the goal anyways as a placeholder. You can always circle back with your advisor to fill in the rest later. After entering all of your goals, you can click Next to move on to the next step. After completing the final step in your data entry process, instead of a Next button in the lower right, you will instead find a Complete button. Once you click Complete, you'll be taken to your RightCapital financial plan, and your advisor will be notified that you've finished inputting your information. From here, you're able to review and discuss your financial plan with your advisor, including your probability of success, what-if scenarios, and planning opportunities. Excellent work, and thanks for watching.